Hey Wilds, Lauren Wild here, the Church Witch, dropping in real quick to do our weekly Astro Forecast. I learned like a week and a half ago that I could save these lives to my device, and I was like, what? So I decided to kind of like start, I don't know if it's gonna be like a thing yet or not, but like where I've just been popping on here to do my my lives and then saving them to put them on to YouTube and Patreon, so we'll see how it goes. But hello everyone, I am not necessarily coming completely up out of the grave of life yet, but I'm getting there. Got all the final things out of my ex's house today. That was a big ritual. Like just like really checking boxes on my end. You can't hear me. Thank you. Hold on. Can you guys hear me now? Hold on, let me see. Make sure that I'm not on like mute. Can somebody confirm that you can hear me? Maybe somebody say something. I'm not gonna keep going until I know everybody can hear me. Just let me know. Let's see. Just want to check in. Can you guys hear me? I sound better now. Okay, great. Yay. Okay, let me turn my volume up a little bit. So, yeah, this weekend was a pretty big weekend astrologically. So, Friday, Saturday was the beginning of Cancer season, also LIBRA, and also a eclipse. So, you know, we are looking at, I'm doing a live really quick. You going for a run? Okay, great. So hold on one second. What was I saying? Summer solstice, LIBRA, eclipse, Cancer season. Yes. Sorry, I'm a little bit like squirrel right now. I've been doing a lot of clearing and just really closing up some loose ends, and just wanted to say hi, guys. So all of that being said, let's go ahead and kind of jump into this week's astrology. All right, so this week's astrology it's all marked by the eclipse season. You have to understand that right now we are beyond bookend. Usually there's 2 eclipses, but in this cycle there are 3, and the reason for that is because we are the lunar eclipse that we had in Sagittarius 15 degrees about 2.5 weeks ago. That one was starting the new storyline for the next 2 years, and then this one that happened yesterday at 0 degrees of Cancer, and then the one that happens in 2 weeks in Capricorn, they are closing a 2-year-old story. Okay, so what you're gonna see is a lot of like big feels, because it's in Cancer, which is feelings and emotions, nostalgia, all the nostalgia. Also understand that Venus retrograde will station direct on Thursday, but not before tonight, like midnight, around like 12:30 a.m. Neptune is going to station retrograde, which it already is stationing. So if you are feeling like all the feels come rising up to the surface, that is Venus stationing retrograde. I know I've been hit where I called my boyfriend and I was like, I feel so anxious right now. And then I realized that Neptune is retrograding tonight. And I was like, Neptune always messes with me. Like I am very driven by Saturn and Pluto, which are very direct. And Neptune is all the feels, and with it in Pisces, it's all the feels. So, you know, with Venus in her last 4 days of her retrograde motion, man, it's feely out there, I'll tell you what, especially with Mercury retrograde going down to Cancer too. So all the feels, y'all tell me what's going on down there, if things on the home front have kind of like come up to the surface. Let me know what's going on over there. And then the moon moves into Leo tomorrow. So, you know, what we're in right now is new moon energy, all right? And so most new moons are powerful times to set new intentions. But when it's a new moon and an eclipse, a solar eclipse, this is huge energy for starting new storylines. All right, now it's a little different because of the fact that it's in the Cancer Capricorn axis, which is like the old story, like the 2-year-old story that's coming to close. But it is very potent for putting energy into like what it is that you called in 2 years ago, of like really seeing that come to pass over the next 6 months, right? So basically it's like really looking at like what is it that you started 2 years ago, and where are you at today, and how can you like really step into this new energy that is like closing out a 2-year chapter to make space for what you called in 2 years ago. Okay, so new moons, new intentions, it's always about what's the new thing that you're calling in, what's the new seed of intention. Anytime there's an eclipse, we are looking at a 6-month period of time at least. Okay, it could be 2 years, you know, as you can see we're talking about 6 months and 2 years. So, you know, it's really powerful for, Donald, I see that, you know, you started Reiki and you came out. And so, like, a suggestion would be, you know, if you know that you're, like, coming to the closure of, like, starting this new voyage, but there's, like, something where you're like, I want to get a Reiki practice off the ground, or I want to call in my soulmate. This would be that kind of energy that would kind of, like, solidify the last 2 years. And it's very powerful. It's pretty intense. So, you know, just be mindful with that energy. Now, when Venus stations direct on Thursday, Venus is going to station at 5 degrees of Gemini, all right? And anytime that Venus is going to go retrograde or direct, or Mercury or any of the planets, you want to pay attention to the first few days before they actually go. They're kind of like the most intense. So, like, I know for me, I have had just so much coming up that I'm like, I am so over this, and it's just like all of a sudden I'm in my feels, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on, right? And so just kind of, you know, ask yourself, like, heart level, what's really coming up. Are these like fears, or is this intuition? If it was me, which this is what I had to do, was really, and having to do is really having to meditate, use mindfulness, and not make any major decisions right this very second. I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna give myself about a week to kind of like process through some of this more emotional energy. So anyways, you know, in terms of where we're at astrology wise, you just have to remember that Mercury is also retrograde, and Mercury is the messenger, and so Cancer is all the emotions, and it's just like, it's just, Neptune's in water too. I mean, it's a lot of feels. Yeah, it's a lot of feels. Heartbreak from divorce and feeling safe. Yeah, like that's just so Cancer, because Cancer rules the home and the relationship with the mother. It's also your home, and it's driven by security. And it's just like feeling this need for emotional security. Feeling like, where's my people, where's my tribe, like I need a fuzzy blanket and I need a kitty to pet, you know. It's very like hugs and cuddles, and just really wanting comfort, you know, like comfort food, comfort people, and so just be mindful, you know. And so yeah, I Donald, I know you're all water. I have a lot of water in me, but I lose myself in water. My emotions can run me very, 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 very quickly. So, all right, let me get later into the week. I wrote my notes over here. So, now on Friday, we have a cool aspect. The sun, which is now in Cancer, is going to be in a semi-sextile to Venus, now direct. This is going to bring up a lot of drive for romance. It's going to bring up a lot of like, this sense of intimacy. Could be with a friend. You'd really want to look to the Cancer and Pisces axis to get a clarity on that. So if you know that you have a lot of Cancer energy and you have a lot of Pisces energy, like that's a lot of that energy too. So just be mindful of that. And then on Saturday, the moon is going to enter Libra, and Mars is going to enter Aries for 6 months. Okay, so when Mars enters Aries, it's important to pay attention, okay? Because Mars is going to station retrograde in Aries at about 25 degrees. It's going to land directly on my moon. It's crazy. And so it's like going to stay for like 6 months. That's very long. It doesn't usually stay that long. And so Aries is the bold warrior. It's also where ARIES is, which says take it to the streets. And so in a very collective sense, you know, we might really see a lot of the protests come back and the big shifts. So it's definitely, it's going to be an interesting one to watch. So you want to pay attention to some of the storylines that pop through on Saturday and Sunday when Mars moves into Aries. And then on Sunday, we got our first quarter moon at 7 degrees of Libra. And when we have a quarter moon, like that means that we are waxing energy. That means we are gaining energy. So, you know, right now we're still in new moon energy. So we're still a little tired. We're still trying to come down from all the big eclipse energy and litha energy. We've also reached the peak of the energy of 2020, okay? So when the sun hits litha, summer solstice, that is the peak of light energy in the year. And then it will eventually start to wane down, and we'll start to wax down or wane down into the darker aspect of the year. So once we get to Mabon, you know, which is our autumn equinox, that's when we really start to move into the darker part of the year. And then Samhain would be the next cross quarter. Samhain is Halloween, and that's when we really do get to like the shadow period of the year, from Samhain to Yule, which is winter equinox. Okay. So, you know, just be mindful of the feels. Try not to let them like direct you. Like, I am all about being heart-centered and guided by my intuition. But when there's Neptune involved, it gets very mutable. And because Venus retrograde is in Gemini, which is also very mutable, we're talking about Gemini and Pisces. It's who I was married to for 11 years. And no, I'm not going to bring that in. It just can be confusing, okay? It can just be very confusing. So you just want to understand it's a lot of mutable energy. Stay adaptable, flow with it, try to laugh something off. See if you can redirect your mind and direct your awareness versus your awareness directing you. Just because you're feeling something doesn't make it truth. Feelings are messengers, okay? Feel into your body and ask your body, like, why are you giving me that message? You might be hungry, you might be thirsty, you might be exhausted. You might be sensing some sort of energy around you because you're deeply empathic. You might also be just like pulling up old shit from like 20 years ago that you haven't dealt with. So you really want to tap into your body and like put a hand over your heart and like one over your sacral chakra and just like ask like, what is coming up? For me, I like to say it out loud when my body talks to me and it's like, you're dealing with jealousy issues, right? And it's like, well, fuck, yeah, I am, right? Now, once you name it, you can heal it. And that's where I tend to get my cards out, and I will be like, how are 3 ways that I can deal with my jealousy issues? Lay down the 3 cards and start to journal, and this is known as mindfulness and shadow work, okay? So, y'all hang tight this week. I mean, I told you guys June was going to be a shit show of emotions, and that's where we're at. We are about to close out June, which is crazy. Just remember, the next eclipse that closes this portal is July 5th. If you guys are in my Wild Hearts Coven, which is the one that's on Patreon at the $33 tier, you get access to all my Patreon stuff, as well as one live Zoom Rewilding Circle a month that's online. So if you're interested in that, go over to Patreon and subscribe to my $33 tier. You get all kinds of stuff, plus you get admission to my full moon Rewilding Circles, which I have 1 time a month on Zoom. So, all right, guys, I'm going to pop off here so this isn't incredibly long. I hope you guys are well. I know there's a couple of you I need to respond to. Aubrey, I'll reach out to you. Donald, I think I'll see you tomorrow. Yay! And I hope you guys are hanging in there. I love you guys very, very much, and I will talk to you later. Okay.